welcome back. It's Overwatch League, Stage 4, Part 2. Let's dive right on into this. Alright, so, actually one thing beforehand, the Pink Mercy skins, as you can see on the screen right now, they have raised over $10 million for BCRF, with the purchases from the players, so that's super cool. Shout out to everyone who bought one. That is awesome to donate to a good cause, get a cool skin as well, so you get a little something back for being generous. Yeah, that's great, just good cause. Nice to see the Overwatch community donate so much money to the to that research. So anyway, we had some very good matches these last couple days. A couple of surprises. Not really in like results as much as like just like how they happened. We had the Gladiators pretty handily dismantled the Shock. Valiant beat Edge Dynasty in a back-and-back affair 3-2. Shanghai got off to a good start against Dallas, but Dallas came back, won the last 3 maps to take that match. Philly Fusion came out strong. They beat Boston. They snapped their regular season win streak. So now both of Boston's match streaks are over. That was a pretty big surprise to me when I saw that. New York took down Florida 3-0, and then the Outlaws crushed the Spitfire 4-0. I didn't watch much of that match, but what I saw, it was pretty brutal. That was probably the most surprising one of the bunch. We saw a decent amount of Brigida. Teams that didn't play it did very poorly against teams that did play it. So it's going to be like teams I thought that I watched that adapted well to this new meta were the Gladiators. I thought they adjusted very well. Houston, they had some very good strategies and good adjustments for the meta. Valiant and Soul, well, not as much Soul, but Valiant, they responded well to the meta. They had some good strategies figured out. And I didn't get to watch a lot of this match, but it seemed like the Fusion also did. They had a pretty good handle on what to do. So the Shock and the Dragons in particular, they really didn't know how to run a good comp with this new meta. So we shall see how they adjust moving forward. Obviously, the meta for the season doesn't really set for like another week or two. There's still going to be teams experimenting with some stuff. So anything could happen these next couple days. The comps have been very interesting. They've had so much variation, more variation than the previous 3 stages easily. So that's been really cool to see. I've been enjoying that a lot. So then we're just going to hop right into the predictions for today. Sorry this video is getting out a little late. I had a lot of stuff going on like in the morning and just hanging out with people and blah blah blah, went on my run, and I was like, oh crap, it's 4 and I haven't put up the video. So go. Dallas Fuel, LA Gladiators. It's the rematch. Fuel won the first 2 matches in stage 1 and 2. Gladiators came back in stage 3 and won. So it's 2-1 in favor of Dallas right now overall. I got the Gladiators in this one. I think they're a better team. I think they got more mojo. I think they got better chemistry. Like I said, this map pool is very good for them. Starting out on Blizzard World, then going to Hanamura, followed by Oasis, and then wrapping up on Dorado. So I could definitely see this going the same way as their as the Gladiators' last match. I could see them winning game 1. I think they're going to win on Blizzard World. They've been very solid on it. So I think they win Blizzard World. Hanamura will be close. If Fuel needs to win Hanamura, then they can. If they win Hanamura, I could see this game going to 5. But we'll see. That one should be a very close one back and forth. Game 3, Fuel's been very strong in that map, but Gladiators have also been very good on Oasis. So we're going to see who cracks first over there. We'll see who can run the Brigida a bit better. I think the Gladiators are going to win that one just because overall they have a lot of talent, and that will propel them forward on the control point with the back and forth fights. And then map 4, this one could go either way. I think Dallas will probably win this one. They have a little bit better history on Escort as a whole than the Gladiators. Gladiators have been terrible on Escort. They've been running Surf 4 and Asher. It's not working. I think they need to sum someone in 4, Asher. Honestly, they could sub someone in for Surefour. I would not hate seeing Silk Thread and Hydration. They have similar hero pools though, so seeing like Surefour Hydration would be totally fine for me on that map, or if they wanted to have Silk Thread in there, that's really cool. I just think the Gladiators need to try something else because their escort maps have been very poor. So I could see this one very well going to a game 5. This is probably the best map pool for the Dallas Fuel. It's probably their best chance to beat the Gladiators because, like I said, they have Hanamura, which is kind of a weaker one for Gladiators, and Dallas has been pretty good on it. And they also have Oasis, which is probably the Fuel's best map of any of them in the game. So there are possibilities for Fuel here. I think Gladiators are going to wrap it up in 3, though. I think it's going to be 3-1. They'll pull out close wins on maps 2 and 3. Don't be surprised if this one goes 5, though. Good news for Gladiators fans, if it does go to 5, it is Nepal, and the Gladiators have been very good on that map, so I think that they will take the series. But it should be interesting. It should be very entertaining. I'm pretty excited for it, but also, of course, nervous. Alright, so going on to match number 2. This one, wow, this is going to be very telling, this match. So Boston, they got off to kind of a rough start. They lost 3-1 to Fusion, and it's like Fusion's a very good team, so it's not like, oh, they're shamed. It's not like they got 4-0 by the Dragons or something. They lost to a good team, but I mean, they had their win streak. They had won 14 regular season matches in a row. They had the 15th streak if you count the stage playoffs, but then obviously that was snapped. And now they had their 14 match regular season snapped by the Fusion. So did they look terrible? I don't know. I didn't get to see a lot of the map, so I don't have a lot of information about Uprising. But Outlaws looked extremely strong. They went 4-0 in their match, crushed the Spitfire. They're now 4-0 against the Spitfire on the season. The Spitfire are combined 0-6 against the Outlaws and Gladiators now. Everyone else in the league they've beaten at least once. So I'm tempted to go Outlaws here because they just looked stronger. Obviously, historically on the season, Uprising has looked a little bit stronger, but I really liked what Outlaws were doing with the new strategy. They get to play King's Row again, which is a very strong one for Outlaws. They have Spree, a very, 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 very good Zarya player. Watching him is always a lot of fun. They got Watchpoint Gibraltar, which is a solid map for Outlaws. They're also playing Oasis and then Hanamura. So I think this one will be back and forth. I can see Outlaws taking map 1, Boston coming back for the next 2, and then Outlaws winning map 4. I think this one probably goes to a 5. And I do like the Outlaws on Nepal just because they're a bit more flexible. You see more looks from the Outlaws. They kind of go to that May Reaper sometimes. Obviously, there's some good Junkrat maps on Nepal, and there's some good Widow maps. And I like Jake and Linkser in the Junkrat Widow duel. I like them over Mistakes on Widow and then Striker on Junkrat. I give the edge to Outlaws there. Plus, Outlaws, we always talk about their tank line. They're so strong. So I think Outlaws are going to win this one. I think they win it in 5. It's going to be close though. I don't think this one will be another 4-0. Yeah, that might be the match to watch of these next couple days. Might be the match to watch. Although there are definitely some good ones. We got the San Fran Shock. They're visiting the Seoul Dynasty. So both these teams, they lost in their first matchup. Dynasty lost in a very close matchup to Valiant. Shock lost pretty easily to the Gladiators. They dropped the first 3 maps, and a couple of them weren't really that close. So, a couple of teams are still trying to adjust to the new meta. I'm going to say Seoul here. I think Seoul is going to win this matchup, but we'll see. I mean, they're playing on Blizzard World, Horizon Lunar Colony, Oasis, and Watchpoint Gibraltar. I think there were times in the matchup, like on Horizon against the Valiant, Seoul tried to get a little cute. I think if they just kind of run what they are used to, it's going to work out better for them. Like, they went full dive, and it didn't really work out at all on their attack. They got full held. So I really think Seoul's going to win this matchup. But, I mean, Shock, they have Architect playing extremely well. Dante and Sinatra kind of have bad weeks. If they can bounce back, this one could get very close. I do think Seoul will take the first 2 maps, though. They're bad maps for the Shock. So that's going to be the Dynasty's main advantage. I think that Shock will win Oasis, and then Dynasty will close it out on map 4 for a 3-1 victory. And I mean, they need wins. The Valiant passed them. They have the same record, but Valiant have a better map differential. So the Valiant passed them in the standings, and they're in the same division. Like you see, this is the Pacific Division right here. These 6 teams, and so Seoul and LA Valiant, they're on top. Gladiators are 2 behind them. And then obviously the Fuel, the Shock, and the Dragons are all out of the running. So every match super important for Seoul. They really need this win. I do think that they will eventually get it. Going on to Saturday, we got the Philadelphia Fusion taking on Florida Mayhem. I like the Fusion in this one. I think they'll win with relative ease, but Florida played well against New York. I thought they played very well. They ended up managed to draw, so that was cool on Hanamura, but they did lose the other 3 maps. But I thought they played well. Logix was back in. He was doing some good work. I didn't watch like all of that match. I didn't really watch much of them yesterday, just doing some other stuff. But from what I saw, Mayhem are looking a bit stronger than I thought they would, honestly. They didn't play Saya player at all, so it'd be interesting to see if they play Saya player. But in this one, I think Fusion are going to wrap it up. They'll probably go up 1. They'll probably go up 2-0. Then I can see Florida taking map 2 or 3, but I do believe Philadelphia will take this one 3-1 in the end. And moving on to the next match, it's red versus green. It's the Battle of Christmas. We got LA Valiant, Shanghai Dragons, playing on Kings Row, Hanamura, Oasis, and then Watchpoint Gibraltar. That's kind of what we've seen on a lot of these. Lots of Hanamura, lots of Kings Row, and lots of Oasis these next 2 days, it seems. I think Valiant win this one with relative ease. Like I said, they've adapted to the new meta well. Shanghai has not adapted to the new meta well. I think Valiant will probably take the first 3. I think Shanghai might fight back and win a 4th map. They're going to have that advantage of Dia on the Widowmaker. So I'm going to say they pull out Watchpoint, but the Valiant do win this one 3-1. And then to the last match, we got London Spitfire against the New York Excelsior. So London's in some trouble. I mean, they were like, oh, we're going to get our revenge on Houston. Like, that's our thing. They always talk about when they lose to someone, they're going to get their revenge. They did not get their revenge. They got laws. So they're in a bit of trouble now. Their overall playoffs hopes are still looking very strong. They'd have to lose a lot, like 3 or 4 more in a row to be in to actually be in trouble. But I mean, for the stage again, their stage playoff hopes, they're already a little in trouble. I mean, the -4 maps is tough, and 0-1, and now they have to play Excelsior. The way that London's playing right now, I don't think they can beat Excelsior. I think Excelsior will win this matchup. It could be some back and forth. But I mean, the maps aren't great for Spitfire either. They're playing on Lijiang in Game 3. That's always been like a bad one for them. They got absolutely rolled on Kings Row by Outlaws, and they have to play on that against Excelsior. I honestly think this might be a 4-0. I'm going to say it's not. I think the Spitfire will be able to kind of tighten up, and after that bad loss, they know that they can't suffer too many more like that, or they could honestly be in jeopardy. Their last loss put them at 20-11, and the Outlaws and the Gladiators are sitting at 17-14. So it's not out of the question that if they go into a prolonged slump, they could get kicked out of the overall playoffs. I don't think that'll happen, but it could happen, and I think it's in the back of their minds. So they'll come out, they'll take at least a map, maybe map 2, I could see it, or that's probably the one that I would bet on, maybe 4. I think New York will win this one 3-1, just a better team right now, a lot better coordination, all their players are at the top of their game, and I think that New York will move to 2-0 on the stage. Also, New York clinched their playoff spot, by the way. They officially clinched it last week. I mean, everyone knew they were going to make it anyway, but it's official. They're the first team to do so. No other teams. I mean, like, if Boston, I don't think this will happen, but if Boston, like, completely falls apart, goes, like, 2-8, they could fall out. If Spitfire fall apart, go 2-8, 3-7, something like that, they could get kicked out. So, New York is the only team that's locked themselves in. All the other teams, they really have some stuff to play for. Got some really good matchups today and tomorrow. and I hope you are able to tune in. Good luck to your team, unless they're playing mine, and I will see you guys for next week.